Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General, as I think you know, we're here to talk about bias and alleged acts on that bias. And it seems to me that it's one thing to talk about bias as a concept or an intellectual proposition, but it's quite another thing to see it in living color. I want to just read you a couple of emails that I think demonstrate the bias in living color and the promise to act on that bias. August 16, 2015, Peter Strzok. Bernie Sanders is an idiot like Trump. Figure they cancel each other out. February 12, 2016, Lisa Page. Trump has no dignity or class. He simply cannot be president. March 3rd, 2016, Lisa Page. God, Trump is a loathsome human. March 3rd, 2016, Peter Strzok. Oh my God, Trump's an idiot. March 3rd, 2016, Peter Strzok. God, Hillary should win 100 million to nothing. March 3rd, 2016, Lisa Page. Did you hear Trump made a comment about the size of his penis? Only she didn't use the word penis earlier. This man cannot be president. July 18, 2016, Lisa Page. Donald Trump is an enormous douche. August 2016, Lisa Page. Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? August 2016, Peter Strzok. No. No, he won't. We will stop it. Now, Mr. Strzok and Ms. Page were not junior G-men or G-women. They were senior officials at the FBI. And as I understand it, please correct me, General, if I'm wrong, they were navel deep in misfire hurricane and the Mueller investigation. Navel deep. They were decision makers. And you made these emails public, which I appreciate. But what we're talking about here is not a routine run-of-the-mill FBI case. This was an investigation of the President of the United States of America. And this was the investigation of a presidential campaign. And here's what I've never understood. When these emails became public, and you knew about them, when you learned about them, you did the right thing, you made them public. Presume you made them available to Mr. Mueller. Mr. Strzok and Ms. Page were removed from the Mueller investigation. Nobody gets fired around here. It's easier to divorce your spouse than to fire somebody. But why didn't you or somebody, some other senior official at the Department of Justice, or the director of the FBI, or somebody else senior at the FBI say, wait a minute, stop a second. We're investigating a president and a presidential campaign. I'm going to ask some hard questions here. Maybe I shouldn't have been trusting people that are telling me this stuff. If you or some of your colleagues in the Trump administration had done that, you would have seen that the FBI had already said General Flynn didn't do anything wrong. And that the FBI agents who tried to entrap him at the White House had said, well, he's not lying. And y'all, I'm not just putting it on you, but y'all would have found that the Steele dossier was unadulterated BS. And you would have found that some people at the FBI had been lying to you, lying about on the warrant applications. And maybe you would have said, wow, does the Mueller investigation really need to be trying to put Carter Page and General Flynn? I mean, what's going on here? But nobody did that. And that bothers me.
Yep. I appreciate your question, Senator. First of all, I have the report open to the appropriate page. You are correct with regard to Inspector Horowitz's conclusions. He did point out that employees are entitled to political views. And I think it's important to recognize, I'm sure we have people with strong views on the other side too. The question is, are you following the rules? And are you articulating those views in a way that will cast doubt upon the integrity of the process? And when that information came to our attention, Senator, I think we did the right thing. Inspector Horowitz brought it to my attention and the attention of Director Mueller. Director Mueller took appropriate action. The FBI director transferred Mr. Strzok. The investigation wasn't concluded yet, so he wasn't able to impose any discipline. I believe the woman involved left the department voluntarily. With regard to the status of the investigation, Senator, obviously, fortunately, we're at the conclusion and we're able to say that no Americans conspired with the Russians. My impression at the time was that there was proper predication for that investigation. And General Horowitz, Inspector General Horowitz, agreed with that. There may be more information that comes to light, and Mr. Dora may find that, and then I think we ought to take that into consideration as well. But with regard to all those cases, Senator, all I can tell you is, and I think one more important point I'd like to make, which is why didn't we just throw the whole thing out? It's because there are a lot more people involved in this. It's not just Mr. Strzok and Ms. Page. There are dozens, perhaps scores of federal agents and attorneys involved, and I hope and believe most of them were not.
Ms. Rosenstein, I think he's asked a very good question. Once you find out that the people who were in charge of Crossfire Hurricane also became the Mueller lead investigators, and they were dripping with bias, why wasn't there a timeout to do something like the Woods procedure? Slow down. Can we really trust the work product of these people? That wasn't done, was it?
I believe it was.
Will you agree with me it was done very poorly?
Well,
because you didn't find anything that Horowitz found. How did Horowitz find all this stuff and you didn't?
Well, Horowitz, that's my internal affairs officers.
Well, all I can say is that Senator Kennedy's point is well taken.
Yeah.
Anybody in their right mind, when they found Strzok and Page were so over the top, would have slowed down. Look what Horowitz did find. I just can't believe that all this was laying there and nobody could find it if they really looked. I don't believe you're a part of a conspiracy to defraud the FISA court. I don't believe you're out to get the president. But his point is that this went on for 2 years. And it was clear that somebody should stop and take a time out, and that never happened. And when Horowitz looks at it in 2019, he found a ton of stuff that should unnerve all of us.
Keep in mind, Senator, and I think it's a very valid question you asked, why didn't I do something? And from my perspective, that is what I do. I refer allegations to an Inspector General who works for me.
I think the point is
he does the investigation.
That this thing went on 2 years, and in August 2017, none of the people named in the memo had a tie to Russia at all. General Flynn wanted to be dropped out of the thing, and the seventh floor kept him in it. Carter Page was no more a Russian agent than I am a Chinese astronaut. Papadopoulos had said many times when he didn't know he was being taped, it'd be treason to work with the Russians. We just don't understand how it started to begin with. to be honest with you. And I think you were very honest up front, saying if you knew then what you know now, maybe things would have been different. But that's all this is about, is trying to find out how it went so long.
You did a better job with my time than I have. But I got one other comment.
Yeah, sure.
Rod, this is what really bothers me. I mean, a lot about this circus without a tent bothers me, but I really believe the FBI is the premier law enforcement agency in all of human history. And the American people trust it. And you don't want an American, when an FBI agent knocks on your door, to have to go, wow, I wonder if he's a Republican or a Democrat.
Exactly.
But here you've got a guy like Flynn, and I've never met the general. But the FBI had already concluded that he didn't do anything wrong. There was no collusion. And it appears that, but they were going to take one more shot. Some people at the FBI were going to interview him at the White House, see if we can catch him in a lie. And the agents who interviewed him came back and said, well, I don't think he's lying. And the next thing we know, the prosecutors working for Mr. Mueller are saying, here's the deal. You're going to plead guilty to lying to the FBI. We're going to prosecute your kid. And we're going to break in the process. I don't think that's justice. I don't care whether you're a Trump supporter or a Clinton supporter or a Biden supporter. Man, that's not justice.
If it went down that way, Senator, I would agree with you, and I understand why you've reached that inference. All I can tell you is that I certainly was not under the impression that he hadn't lied. As I think I made quite clear, I was under the impression that General Flynn had willfully lied to the FBI and to the Vice President. So this fact,
but under oath, to the
this fact that you've put in there, that the agents didn't believe that he had lied.
Yeah.
I don't recall understanding that at the time, Senator, and I've read the filing, and I'm sure the General Barr will give us a full readout at the appropriate time. The case is still pending, so we haven't heard the whole story. But if there's any evidence of misconduct there, Senator, I'm confident the General Barr will bring it to light. So I don't think we should jump.
tình ta mến nhau. Nhiều đêm ngắm sao mà ước xin mình bền lâu, suốt đời tình khắc sâu. Nhớ thương đầy vơi mộng thấy ai mỉm cười, làn môi xinh tuyệt vời. Để rồi buồn ơi ánh trăng soi còn đó, và nghe hơi gió biết rằng mình vừa mơ. Khi yêu hôn như nở hoa say mộng tuyệt vời, nắm tương lai trong bàn tay, một câu nói thôi. Đôi khi gặp nhau muốn khơi nhưng rồi lại thôi, nói ra e ngại mặc theo gió trôi. Hôm nay nhìn xe kết hoa rồi ngược nẻo đường, gửi thư trao cho người yêu vài câu luyến thương. Hân hoan hồn như nở hoa trông chờ hồi âm, đắng cay trong lòng chỉ thấy thiếp hồng. Chiều tím không mây đường cũ bước lần về, buồn nghe say dứt tim. Nhìn xe kết hoa màu trắng ngỡ rằng mình mơ, pháo hồng tiễn đưa. Lá thu chậm rơi từng lá nghe buồn buồn, từng bước ai tìm về, mở rộng vòng tay đón anh nhưng nào thấy sầu dâng lên tim biết bao giờ cho nhau muốn khơi nhưng rồi lại tôi nói ra e ngại mặc theo gió trôi. Hôm nay nhìn xe kết hoa xuôi ngược nẻo đường, gửi thư trao cho người yêu vài câu luyến thương. Hân hoan hồn như nở hoa trông chờ hồi âm đắng cay trong lòng, thấy thì vẫn hồng. Chiều tím không mây đường cũ bước lần về, buồn nghe say dứt tim. Nhìn xe kết hoa màu trắng ngỡ rằng mình mơ, pháo hồng nhuộm tiễn đưa. Lá thu chậm rơi từng lá nghe buồn buồn, từng bước ai tìm về, mở rộng vòng tay đón anh nhưng nào thấy sầu dâng lên tim